Hello, everyone. Welcome to Court with Krissy. Don't you just love love? Those appearing here today must, as they've all recently said I do. And while statistics show that half of marriages end in divorce, I only think that one of these couples is going to make it. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
So, and it varies. And there's another one right there. And so it kind of switches around based on who's talking and where they are. So feel free to move around. You're not going to block anybody. Nope, absolutely. So why don't you guys come on up here? It looks like you threw your rings.
Yes, we have them. Should we hold them or should
You
we?
can just set down on the table there right for right now. Okay. Well, as the two of you have decided to embark on a life together as husband and wife, please join hands as a signal of your desire to begin the ceremony. The institution of marriage has been practiced by societies throughout history to join two people together in solemn bond. It's this tradition you're caring for today as you pledge your faith and your love to each other. Now, Jeremy, you take this woman whose hand you now hold to be your lawfully wedded wife.
I do.
And you promise now, before the witnesses assembled here today, to love, honor, and cherish her in sickness and in health, in joy and in sorrow, for better and for worse.
I do.
And you promise to be a true and devoted husband to her, protecting and supporting her, and keeping yourself to her and her alone for so long as you both shall live.
I do.
And Mackenzie, do you take this man whose hands you now hold to be your lawfully wedded husband?
I do.
And you promise now, before the witnesses assembled here today, to love, honor, and cherish him in sickness and in health, in joy and in sorrow, for better and for worse.
I do.
And you promise to be a true and devoted wife to him, protecting and supporting him, keeping yourself to him and him alone for so long as you both shall live.
I do.
Well, Jeremy, if you'll take the ring that you have for Mackenzie. The rings, I should say.
Yeah.
You gotta get them both. And as you slide them over her left ring finger, I want you to repeat after me.
Let me take the box.
Okay. With this ring,
With this ring,
I thee wed.
I thee wed.
Go ahead and slide the second one on there. Go down there further if you want. Mackenzie, if you'll take the ring that you have for Jeremy. And as you slide it over his left ring finger, please repeat after me. With this ring,
With this ring,
I thee wed.
I do wed.
Well, now that Jeremy and Mackenzie have each pledged their faith to one another in the bonds of matrimony, and we witness the same by the joining of hands, exchanging of rings, and exchanging of vows, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of Ohio as judge of the Licking County Municipal Court, it is my happy privilege to pronounce you husband and wife. You may give some.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Hold
welcome.
it, baby, hold it. Woo! Can I holler?
Step out of the way, you don't need a photo bomb.
They should all be like
First
this.
married kids. All right, so congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
You're now married.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Judge. This is going to be position number 7, Ms. Shabazz.
That'll be me, Mr. McLean, Your Honor.
Okay. This is 24 CR 005710A. Ms. Shabazz charged with 1 count of battery family violence, 2nd count of simple battery. Pre-trial.
I got first.
Okay. State.
Your Honor, that's my case. This is Anna Allen for the state. My information is that this is the first arrest as well. I also would note for the court that when I ran the information of these parties in the system, there was a call to the police in July of this year on the 23rd or 24th, alleging that the victim in this case shoved his mother-in-law, and he was not arrested because he had left the scene. So there is clearly something going on in this household. This is the incident that occurred on the 13th. So yesterday, around midnight, the police were called. It's alleged that Mrs. Shabazz, who's in front of you, struck her husband, Mr. Lorenzo Smith, with a closed fist. He was seen to have a scratch about 6 inches, it's described as, on his arm. These young people, I believe, were married on August the 7th. And they share a very young infant, 4 or 5 months old. The victim on scene, Mr. Smith, told police he was in fear for his life and said that his wife and his mother-in-law, Ms. Moore, attacked him. He said that he came home at 9 p.m. and showered, and his wife brought him a plate of food, but he threw it away because it wasn't warm enough. Maybe these guys don't have a microwave. He became upset with her. She became upset with him. Mr. Smith reports that his wife, Mrs. Shabazz, punched him in the head and scratched him. It looks like maybe a marriage license was ripped up or shown and used during this argument and questioning each other about whether we're being respectful or not. Mrs. Shabazz denied that there was a physical assault and said that she had not caused the injury that was seen on his arm, but she was detained. Mother-in-law, Mrs. Cassandra Moore, was present. She said she didn't witness the altercation, but she heard a verbal in the bedroom, and she heard a bang. She reported that the 5-month-old was in the room with them. And it was her opinion that this couple's not doing well. We've been in touch with Mr. Smith. He reported that the 4-month-old is with his sister or her sister, maybe. No, his sister. And he would like no contact, and he would like these folks evicted from his home. Your Honor, we would request no contact. That seems appropriate, maybe in this situation. We would not request no contact with Ms. Shabazz and her infant, however. And it seems like maybe they're going to be moving out, but I would request a one-time law enforcement escort to the location so Mrs. Shabazz can get her things and her mother-in-law can get her things before they leave. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety bond, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Okay. All right, Petey's.
Your Honor, it was unfortunate that the mother-in-law moved from her location here in Atlanta into the household to help take care of the grandchildren. And now this occurs, Your Honor, taking into account the July matter, which apparently is just a 911 transcript at this point. I don't know if there's going to be a warrant. We would certainly agree with the state about no further contact, at least no further violent contact. And the state's asking for no contact at all. If the court needs to order third-party transfer of the infant for any visitation, that would be up to the court. I would ask for a signature bond given this is their first arrest. Your Honor, my client is 25 years old. Let me turn to the biography here. 25 years old, from Iowa originally, but been in the Atlanta metro area several years. She's been a homemaker. She has had some college education, a little bit, and has some work history in a fast food restaurant. And as far as moving out of the place, this apartment on Stanton Road, I had a 3-way conference call between one of my social workers and Ms. Shabazz while interviewing her, and we've given her a couple of resources for shelters. This is going to be a hassle, but it looks like may be worth the effort. We would ask to give a signature bond and rule appropriately in the court's opinion on violent versus no contact whatsoever.
All right. I will grant a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial.
And Your Honor, Mr. Smith is on the Zoom if you'd sound for him.
Oh, Mr. Smith, do you wish to address the court today?
Yes, I will. I would like to.
Okay, raise your right hand for me so I can swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
And you're not driving, correct?
No.
Okay. All right, you can put your hand down. Are you in fear of Ms. Shabazz?
No.
Do you want to have any further contact with Ms. Shabazz?
Yes.
Okay. And you all have a small baby together, I believe?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions. Anyone else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
did you speak to an advocate in the solicitor's office this morning and tell them that you don't want any contact and you want your wife and her mother-in-law to leave the house and that the baby is now with your sister?
I do want contact with her,
Wait, that's
but I
not
do
what I
not want.
asked you. That's not what I asked you. Did you speak to our office this morning and tell them the opposite of that? That's my question.
No, I did not say the opposite of that.
You spoke with
I
an
said,
advocate this morning and you
yes,
said you
I
didn't
did.
want
And
contact and you
I,
didn't want them to return to the house and that the
I said
baby
I,
was with your sister,
I
right?
said no, I said I didn't want them to return to the house and I only want contact with her. That's what I said. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, again, I think there's obviously an issue going on here. Just the facts of this incident seem very strange to me and the expectation of certain behaviors. The state is under the belief and opinion that it's in the best interest of both the mother-in-law and the victim in this case that there be separation. Thank you. And Miss Asua Johnson, you can't be on Zoom laying in your bed with a bonnet on. Please turn off your camera. I really do wish you had the ability to see people, Judge Mincy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for helping. You normally I would. Miss Grace, can you, or who's my, or Miss?
Already done, Judge.
Okay, or Miss Bridgewater, to see anybody else that way today? I don't, you're in court, so you wouldn't wear a court in person with a bonnet, so we don't do it on Zoom or hats or any other coverings. Thank you, everyone. All right, with the Shabazz case, I'm going to order the $2,500 signature bond through pretrial. No drugs, unprescribed drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. No
Your
further
Honor, there are 2 charges. You'll break that down, please.
2,000 on well, no, let's see, 1,500 on the battery, and then what does that leave me with? 1,000 on the
Yes.
simple battery? Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm going to I don't know, I'm having some second thoughts about what's going on in the home, or if there's just a lot of chaos, and hopefully these people will get counseling or give some space and time to each other. I guess no further violent contact with the victim, which is the victim Mr. Smith? Or is it Miss
Yes,
Moore?
Your Honor.
Okay. But Miss Moore is the mother-in-law is at the home?
Right, and it sounds like he is demanding that she be removed from the house. He doesn't want contact with her. She's not a defendant in this case. That's not really how we can move forward. That's not part of our case.
Right. That can't do anything.
Can I say something?
Not particularly, but what is it? Is it dealing with Miss?
So with the incident that happened on the 13th, when I called the 911, it was for the removal of the mother. It just so happened that the cop seen that we had got into an altercation, that she had got into an altercation with me, and that's why that happened how it happened.
Okay, you can sort out the facts as you go. I'm here just to determine bond and issues of whether persons will return to court, and to make sure that people are safe, whoever they are, who are residing in this home. So I expect that if Ms. Shabazz goes back there, that there won't be any more incidents with your mother-in-law, and that these issues will be cooling down It's only been 24 hours or less since this happened. So I don't know if I'm going to allow Miss Shabazz to go back there and no further violent contact. Can you all do that?
Your Honor, what level will this be?
Level 1.
Thank you.
And
And like I
since
said, she
ahead.
does information from our social worker on a couple of places to go for shelter.
Right. Well, I did not order a stay away. I just said no further violent contact. So, but
Right.
if she needs help with that, hopefully you all can provide that as well. I don't know, again about a police escort to retrieve her items. I don't know that I need to order it or someone request it without an order. Will they do it? But if there still needs to be some cooling down going on, then I'll just order that one-time police escort just in case she needs it to get the assistance.
Your Honor, I think just based on the testimony of the victim during this Zoom, it looks like there should be some concern for the mother-in-law in this case. He's calling the police as if he can just have people who live in his home evicted in that way. And he's requesting, after telling us he wants no contact at all, he now wants contact. He just wants us to evict his mother-in-law, and that's not how it works. So it doesn't sound like Mr. Smith understands that he can't evict his mother-in-law and his wife from the home. We would want to make sure Mrs. Shabazz and her mother have the ability to go get their things, and we would request there be an escort from police because this seems like a volatile situation.
Okay. That's why I say I will order that, the one-time police escort, and we'll say for, is it I'm sorry, for the defendant and the mother-in-law?
The defendant is Ms. Shabazz. Mother-in-law is Mrs. Moore.
Miss Moore.
Yes. And obviously, once defense counsel talks to his client and the mother-in-law, if there are things we need to get together and address before the court or some kind of modification, we'll do that.
Right.
The focus here is about safety, and there is an infant involved.
Right. All right. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I believe that's all I can order, all I will order at this point.
I have one last question.
Okay.
So with the signature bond, you said it's 2,500. So I can go up there and pay it today.
The signature bond, she'll be signing herself out. But that's the amount if she violates any of those conditions and then has to come back to jail, it'll start 2,500 and usually doubles.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Next judge is number 8, Taylor.
Your name?
George D. Thomas. Douglas Thomas.
You're here for case 240585223, People State of Michigan versus George Douglas Thomas, also known as George Thomas for the people.
Jennifer Douglas for the people, P72748. Jessica Scheib on behalf of Mr. Thomas looks for a reading, understands constitutional rights and stands mute.
Thank you both. Court waive formal reading and a plea of not guilty. Mr. Thomas, the court scheduling 2 court dates. You must attend both probable cause via Zoom, August the 6th, Tuesday, 8:30, 36th District Court, Judge King. You have a right to a preliminary examination in person, August 12th, 1:45 p.m. in person, Judge King at the 36th District Court. Understood?
Understood.
Not guilty, please enter it on your behalf, waive formal reading as the bond from the people.
Your Honor, on Mr. Thomas, the people are going to ask for a remand. He is charged with first-degree premeditated murder and pursuant to MCR 6.106. That's a remandable offense, and we're asking for that because we believe that Mr. Thomas poses a danger to the public. Here, there's allegations that Mr. Thomas allegedly shot his wife repeatedly at their home, and that this was actually caught on video because they had Ring doorbell cameras, and that when the police went to the location, the security feed was actually up on the TV. So Mr. Thomas would have known that this would be captured on video, and yet we have him allegedly shooting her multiple times in the back. And then when the gun jams, him going back inside, getting another gun, coming back, shooting her again in the back. And then when some people tried to help her, telling them to go away, and then shooting her in the back again. So, Your Honor, we do have some grave concerns about safety. There is a high likelihood of conviction, given that there is video of this incident. And so, Your Honor, given what these allegations are, we do think that there's a danger to the public, and we're asking for a remand in this matter.
Thank you. Response.
Your Honor, we understand the charges. However, they're allegations and he's presumed innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Thomas is 72 years old, and in his 72 years, Your Honor, we're not aware of any prior criminal history whatsoever or him being on probation or parole or anything pending. He's retired from General Motors. He suffers from high blood pressure. He takes 4 medications daily that he has not received. He has 2 adult children. Your Honor, he'll have his day in court. He stands mute. We understand the charge. However, in his 72 years, absolutely no history whatsoever, assaultive or not. I think that should speak very highly to the court. We know that charge is in front of you, but he is presumed innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Respectfully asking the court to consider a GPS tether, house arrest, and a cash bond, not remand. Any bond amount is going to be unaffordable to him, Your Honor.
Thank you both. Mr. Thomas, I'm unaware of any assaultive convictions, any convictions in your 72 years, unaware of any capious history. This is the most serious of charges where you face life, a possibility in prison without parole. I've reviewed the investigator's report. These are disturbing and concerning allegations for a number of reasons. AP has indicated a few. After review of the report, the court finds there's a high likelihood of conviction for a number of reasons. There's multiple witnesses alleged to the shooting. There's allegations that there's video footage that has been extracted that shows the shooting. There's multiple witnesses that testified to support a conviction on count 1, the life possibility. Amongst other concerning things is the allegations as stated that you shot your wife, went back into the home, retrieved another gun that was operable, came back out and repeated to shoot your wife again. Your wife that apparently you've been married to for a couple of decades at least, where it's alleged that you just renewed your vows 12 days ago, apparently. And during this, put your hand down by your side. And during this incident, the allegations are further concerning, where it's alleged an independent witness came over while you were in the process of shooting your wife, grabbed a towel and begged apparently to help the victim, where you told the witness to get off your property and quote, let the bitch die. And this is an allegation of your wife that you were married to for decades, renewing vows as stated 12 days ago. There's nothing more concerning and serious than the allegations set forth in this investigator's report. And I have high concerns regarding the safety of anybody in the public if we have allegations of this nature against somebody that you were married to for a substantial portion of time and apparently just renewed vows. Given the likelihood of conviction, the court, for a number of reasons, finds presumption of guilt is great and evident. As stated, count 1 specifically is a life possibility without parole. It doesn't get any more serious of an offense than count 1. The court finds you to be a danger to the community and finds that any type of bond will not adequately protect the safety of the community. For those reasons, the court's following the people's recommendation. You're going to be remanded into custody for further proceedings. Do you have any questions on your court dates or bond conditions?
No.
You're all set.